In August of 2023, a series of screenshots began circulating on Twitter and Reddit. Their origin was an alt-chan known as Soyjack Party and claimed to be proof of a ring of people trading illegal material online, with one person involved even being tied to Chris from Mr. Beast and Finster. While the involvement of these two celebrities is non-existent, what Soyjack Party did manage to find are some of the darkest, most horrific leaks we've ever seen circulated online. These are the Giggly Goon Clown files. And keep in mind, this video will feature stories about a lot of horrible people. I don't endorse any of their actions. This video is for educational and documentary purposes only. Viewer discretion is advised. The Giggly Goon Clown joined Twitter in March of 2022. To address complaints ahead of time, he goes by any pronouns. Giggly described himself as a 21-year-old goddess on HRT. Needless to say, the title is well earned. His name is a play on gooning, a meditative state achieved through hours of prolonged masturbation, and there was no shortage of tweets referencing this addiction. For example, break your brain for hentai and waste your life. But that's only the beginning of the sheer degeneracy. Furries, diapers, farts, and scat. If the fetish existed, he had it. So there was the usual stuff like anthropomorphic rats farting in vivid detail, and other even more bizarre plays on social taboos. He was a proud member of the Black New World Order, calling for the extinction of his own race. These fantasies declared white people as subhumans as he obsessed over BBC beatdowns. One retweet includes a disturbing story in which home intruders assault and murder a family. Looking at the news today is basically just watching porn. This perversion of identity didn't end at race, though. He was fond of degrading himself using ableist language. "I've always been infected with the hump virus. I just know it is autism. Humpy humpy." I'd be hard-pressed to explain this further without showing off his original work. You see, Giggly was first and foremost an artist who loved to put his feelings to canvas. Here's a naked minion spreading his butt cheeks. Most of that art was of his mascot jerking off, jerking others off, or flaunting its brap machine. A few put the clown in more intricate scenarios, like being tied up in a deli meat and barbecue factory. But drawing was just one of the many ways Giggly made content. He also sold captions for as low as $10. This tweet here has several examples of what that entailed. Telling people with autism to in trash cans, a woman surrounded by bright green gas threatening to sit on you, or how about Poop Nights, a proposed game mode for the, quote, most cringe of retards. Take laxatives, boot up Fortnite, and every time you die, squat down and push as hard as you can. It recommends players to use poppers and shout poop over and over. Once you've pooped yourself, make sure to tell everyone and squish in it until you're kicked for being AFK. Of course, being an exhibitionist, Giggly frequently shared nudes. He once posted a picture of his bare rectum, inviting viewers to take a whiff. A month later, he filmed himself masturbating to that very photo. What kind of autistic freak huffs poppers and jerks off to pictures of their own asshole while listening to insane clown music? This clown does. It was one of many videos adorned with "Autism Speaks" as circus music blasts in the background. The line between fiction and reality was blurry as they attempted to live out their wildest desires. It was concerning given how depraved those fantasies often were. Giggly was an open lolicon and retweeted posts about incest. If loving cute little girls is wrong, then I don't want to be right. Meanwhile, he took time to stand against anti-pedo vigilantes. The Internet Anti-Pedo Defense Force is the most awful group of 12-year-old idiots on the planet. You do not need to apologize to these morons, nor feel threatened by them. It raised more than a few eyebrows, and it's only downhill from here. Giggly wasn't just into furries, but also actual animals. That February, he tweeted, "Oh no, my mom bought a dog," visibly throbs in pants. With tweets like these, it's anyone's guess as to how Giggly even remained on the platform. Instead, he got a surprising amount of traction, amassing almost 7,000 followers. These people were just as, if not more, willing to humiliate themselves publicly, with weirdos kissing toilets and putting minifigures next to their penis. That was usually at the clown's request, as he slowly built up a cult of personality. He was quite proud of his ability to get others into his fetishes. "I hope I've influenced at least a few of you gooners into becoming total stink-obsessed fart slaves. Bio has 18 to 20 trans girl in it. Retweets Black New World Order, transitioning from peer pressure. Has fetishes so disgusting she hates herself for them." The latter received over 700 likes. But perhaps what attracted people most was how easy it was to get into contact. Giggly had open DMs and shared his Discord tag. That meant anyone could strike up a conversation, confide in their degeneracy, and then have e-sex. Every so often, he would show some of these DMs publicly. The following are a series of messages he shared on March 11th, 2023. "Hey, I'm done drinking to lolly mommy. It's kind of up my mental state and I had a panic attack yesterday, so I'm sticking with normal kinks from here on. I hope you can understand and still accept me, mommy. Mommy, can you retweet my login information, please? Hey, mommy, what's a good lolly site with captions? Everything we've covered so far has been quite nauseating. I actually applaud you if you've made it even this far. But all of it begs a question, perhaps better left unanswered. If this is what they're willing to share publicly, what was kept in private? Soyjack.party is an image board for the creation, posting, and sharing of Wojaks. As the site has grown, its focus has expanded to encompass many other topics. That naturally has included a lot of trolling, with these stunts making the site infamous. They typically go after fetish accounts, especially those with sinister undertones. In early 2023, the site went after CC Femme, a Goon addiction BNWO estrogen cult many suspect is targeting children. That's a whole different story for another day, but between the forced feminization and racial fetishization, it's not hard to see parallels. Those similarities are why Giggly became a target in the first place. When users stumbled onto the account, it was hard to decipher if it was satire. I mean, just look at this shit. But many of his posts became memes, with his art and masturbation videos spread across the boards. But they quickly realized he was not only genuine, but a potentially dangerous individual. The initial thread targeting Giggly was created on July 26. It called for him to be doxxed, noting his connections to the aforementioned Twitter circle. They wrote that he lived in Arizona and was studying ecology. One of the earliest replies revealed he previously went by the username Almond Milk. This profile places him in his 30s, though it was later determined to be a lie. Most of the posts came from people exploring his timeline in pure disgust. However, the catalyst of becoming a meme on the site was when he got his own Soyjack. It was after this gem that a second thread was made on /raid calling for a personal army. The clown was inundated with trolls across Twitter and Discord. In response, he posted his own version of the Soyjack called True. You realize not letting me intoxicate you with my rancid farts is transphobic, right? Giggly then claimed to have always wanted to be a lol cow due to his humiliation fetish. In spite of this, he deactivated his account later that day. Once he returned, he began mass blocking all of them before changing his handle to Silly Gay Clown. The back and forth only escalated from there. Before long, he was sending Nikocado Avocados whole to the trolls and claiming to never post on their dumbass site. For someone who embraced being the epitome of cringe culture, he seemed to not understand the pitfalls of this antagonization. With more and more users becoming aware of his existence, it was only a matter of time before he got doxxed. On August 1st, a thread was created simply titled Goon Clown Lost. The post is exhaustive, identifying him as Orion Grant Passmore. It contains not only his personal info, but usernames and passwords. These details were used to compromise his Discord account, which was then scraped and released publicly. Immediately, Orion deleted himself off the internet as trolls piled in. They posted his address on Craigslist, ordered pizza, and sent several religious scriptures. It was everything the original call to action had asked for, but amid this raid was a growing sense that more serious action needed to be taken. Those paying close attention may have noticed an image attached to the original post. In addition to many of the tweets we've read before, it contains evidence of criminal activity. For as nauseating and bizarre as his fantasies are on their face, Orion's reality was even worse. Because it was through these leaks that they finally saw a clearer image of who he actually was, an unabashed predator. The Discord archive not only contains proof he was actively grooming minors, but exposed a ring of pedophiles distributing CP. So much proof, in fact, that he was reported to both local and federal authorities, as people were warned against downloading the file. The following is an in-depth exploration of the logs, spanning over 21 servers and 170,000 private messages. Viewer discretion is advised. With how enigmatic the clown was, it led many to wonder about the circumstances that created him. Fortunately, he explained his background several times over the years, giving insight into his childhood. Orion grew up in a single-parent household with a mother who paid little attention. This gave him unrestricted access to the internet, which he found comforting. It became a place of escapism, one that proved necessary after a babysitter apparently took advantage of him. The trauma did irreparable harm, sparking an obsession with
I forgot I shouldn't hire a male babysitter.
By age 11, he was browsing Rule 34, learning about it through memes. A year later, the boy joined Tumblr to participate in fetish communities. This exposed him to sissy hypnosis and racial fetishization. The latter made him insecure as he identified with the alt-right, but he eventually created his own BBC Sissy Tumblr at 14. The blog primarily consisted of original captions, though he claimed to have also posted his own genitals. It attracted over 3,000 followers as the boy got addicted to the attention. For someone who had few real-life friends and went otherwise unnoticed, it was validating. Orion slowly fell deeper into degeneracy, scrawling links to furry sites across his middle school. Yet, there was still a sense of shame as he attempted to quit masturbating several times. Before I was 17, I would delete all my porn. like once every few months in a no-fap fit, trying to get my life back together, and I would just come back over and over. That all changed one fateful night when he finally gave in. I remember going outside completely naked except for my shoes at around 3 a.m. Eventually, when I came, I shouted quite loudly, "Hail Satan!" This wasn't something I planned beforehand, it just happened in the heat of the moment. Everything about Orion's personality changed, devoting his entire identity to porn. Up until this point, he sat firmly in the alt-right with a Twitter that got no more than 400 followers. The account was banned a year after. Shortly thereafter, he created the giggly Goon clown, which quickly surpassed 2,500 followers. It was no coincidence this was around the same time gooning became a viral meme. Perhaps he'd been inspired to embrace the degeneracy. Regardless, by 2020, he was posting videos of himself in diapers and selling captions. Sometimes, I feel like made me an unlikable alt-right loser just to swipe that from me and make me into a perfection piggy. It became impossible for him to do anything else, evident by a journal in which he logged his daily routine. August 21st, 2020, 4 hours of gooning. August 23rd, 2020, 5 hours of gooning. August 22nd, 8 hours of gooning. That regression also included urinating all over his floor, hoping for gingerbread stains and a comfy piss smell. By November of 2022, Orion had over 500 gigabytes of NSFW across 300,000 individual files. He was now desperate enough to beat off while at work. "I'm wanking at work because f*** this job. The smell of boys' bathroom as drunk fat bikers grunt and burp and piss loud as fuck while I stroked a cartoon horses 4 feet away from them. He even contemplated jizzing in people's food. What's your job? Cook. Come in the food. I've thought about it. If I brought a little container, I could slip it in the pizza sauce really easily. No way anyone would notice." These compulsions ultimately led him to identify as pansexual, going so far as to give up on dating real people. That came after a particularly messy breakup, which he recounted as follows. "I would send her and tell her my fantasies, and she thought I was flirting and wanted to suck my weenie. Then she started asking me to bring her over to my house like every day. It was annoying, so I told her I want to be left alone most of the time, and she just started crying and being like, 'So you don't love me?' I realized, OMG, I don't, because you're not even a cartoon horse or something comfy and awesome. You're just a human woman with a penis who doesn't even like me either. You're just desperate and stupid." I didn't say that, but I told her I was a pornosexual and I don't want to have sex or date real girls anymore. He fell deeper and deeper into the depths of his own depravity and was met with support every step of the way from his community. I'd like to read this message he wrote explaining the difference between his actual self and Giggly. "You begin to become more invested with the internet than real life. You feel insecure about your real self and how people don't really like them. Meanwhile, there's all these people online who will give you attention from being depraved and perverse. The second me sort of split away, became someone else, and now I'm someone totally different than the person in here. Giggly, you might say. Giggly does what she wants. She doesn't need my permission. Sometimes she does things and I don't even know about it. I feel like this dilemma is very, very common, but it feels so real to me. Orion wouldn't do these things. He can't. He's so sweet. At least I think he is. He buys presents for his nieces and nephews on their birthdays, visits his parents often, is always wanting to help, and gets all sad when he thinks about the state of the world and just wants to fix it all up, even though he's basically like a tiny helpless puppy. He even put on different voices to emphasize the difference. This is his voice for the giggly Goon clown.
"I'm just a little silly bimbo."
I would put this in the same vein as his worship of Satan. It's self-aggrandizing and performative, but most likely rooted in some truth. By creating this disconnect, he's able to absolve himself of guilt mentally. You see, there's one aspect to his online activities that's so far been ignored. In a message from June 19th, 2023, Orion admits to having looked at CP for 6 years, starting when he was 15. At the time, he would do so before crying immediately after. However, upon embracing this new outlook at life, one that favored hedonism over any and all morality, he began to feel proud. "Bro, I'm serious. I'm such a hardcore pedo. My friends and family have no idea. I couldn't muster the strength to tell my therapist. I'm constantly taking risks and clicking on things and talking to perverts. I have no idea how I haven't been arrested yet. I've given up on stopping." Yeah, if you're planning on clicking off, now is a good time because it's not going to get better. It may seem like a drastic jump from one thing to the next. To understand how this happened so quickly requires an explanation of his new social environment. If you'll recall, Orion amassed nearly 7,000 followers. Many of these would end up joining his Discord server, Giggly's Cringe Circus. I just want to read the list of channels real quick because it is truly ridiculous. Lewd Gaming, 2D Humans, 2D Furries, Captions, Animated, Audio, Cringe, IRL, Gay Porn, AI, Autism Speaks, BNWO, Brap, clussy, corpo worship, diaper sexual, drug addicts, emoji sexual, feet, feral fuckers, fursuits, hog sexual, hypnosis, latex, macro, objectophilia, photomorph, pink pill, plushophiles, Satanism, scat, vor, Bugs Bunny, FNAF sexual, as in Five Nights at Freddy's, Fap Night, as in Fortnite, Homestuck, Pony sexual, Sonic sexual, Stitch, memes, DM me, and finally Hook Up. This server became quite popular among Gooners who gravitated towards his dominant persona. They referred to him as their mommy, with the most loyal simps getting a special role. I'm not quite sure why, but they were really susceptible to his bizarre demands. It was something not even limited to direct interactions. Orion was a frequent user of 4chan and often spammed boards with his fetishes. He went on to receive messages from 40 different people, claiming his insistence got them into farts. I had over 40 people message me saying that they started masturbating to fart because of me. That's literally 1/3 of the people in the 4chan thread. I love having that power. I can just change someone's entire sexuality and make them something else. I'm doing it right now. That power extended far beyond mere fetishes or roleplay. He was able to get several people to submit full control of their social media. They came to him for things as innocuous as what to order from McDonald's. 20 nuggets, 2 large fries, a large Coke, and a Big Mac. Then there were times it seemed to cross the line. It was also that power that got users to cut for BBC and imagine their own mothers getting assaulted by black studs. He begged a user to post creep shots of his girlfriend for him, but perhaps most controversial was his influence on their gender. By his own words, he convinced 6 or 7 Gooners to take HRT. He always had a map of clinics that provided it without psychological evaluation. This is extremely concerning given his views on trans issues in private. Now, Orion himself began transitioning in September of 2022, but it had been done with ulterior motives, and tensions he only spelled out in private. The first excerpt comes from DMs between Orion and a user named Manadrain. Every single trans girl is a horrible pervert to some extent. I haven't ever heard of one who isn't. I should become a T-slur too, just to pile on. And women don't feel safe around you, dude. They just know they'll be canceled if they don't act that way. God, I wish it would be something worse. Lamau, every T-slur finds out one way or the other. All it took was for you to realize sexual predator equals T-slur. The second was with Goon Goddess 69. Can I tell you a secret? I'm not even trans. I'm just a cis guy pretending to be trans to get with more people. It's so much fun, like, OMG, I love pretending to be a girl. I don't care if it's predatory or whatever. Don't blow up our spot, bro. All T-slurs are like that. You can trust me around your kid. It'd be transphobic not to. Me with daycare tots. To Orion and many of his associates, their identity was little more than a political shield. It clearly worked given he publicly fantasized about assaulting women in bathrooms. Those fantasies, of course, were even more deranged in private. It should be clarified this doesn't necessarily apply to everyone in his server. He was careful to state his true opinions, often contradicting them to those he didn't trust. But among his inner circle was a number of losers, creeps, and pedos who bonded over the increasingly sadistic desires. For example, Orion had confidants to discuss bestiality. He privately sent material to other zoophiles and even instructed them on how to find more. That was while expressing their desire to assault dogs to death. It's only real dog sex if it makes them cry. Like they loved it though. He was also convincing other users to engage with the material in an attempt to get them addicted for life. He even tried to get someone to abuse their dog on camera for him. That's the level of severity we're talking about, which is already horrifying in this context. Now, you can imagine how dark the story is going to become as we start to approach the matter looming over the entire story. Take a look at the DMs between Orion and Dizzy Ditzy Izzy. In early 2021, Izzy approached Orion for help with transitioning. It was framed with language likening the experience to bimbofication. 2 years later, Izzy was trying to get his dog to lick his genitals and calling his girlfriend's corgi slutty. This was at Orion's encouragement, alongside a newfound interest in lolly. In August of 2020, Orion's original Discord was banned for violating one of the app's zero-tolerance policies. He'd admit in private this was for being a lolly baiter and banned the material from his server. Of course, he made sure to clarify this wasn't over any moral qualms. Just to be clear, hopefully nobody on the server gives an actual single fuck about lolly porn as a moral question. It is okay to get off to it. It's better than okay. Get off to ToddlerCon. It's fucking sexy. I just don't allow lollies because Discord, despite being the #1 platform for peas, is against it for some reason. Orion's thoughts on the material in private were much darker than mere enjoyment, and in exchange with Goon Goddess, they discussed using it to normalize pedophilia. These pics feel so weirdly wholesome. This artist really makes pedophilia feel natural and okay. It is. Some conversations indicate he was trying to get people to goon to art of babies. Even more disturbing, however, was the fact that lolly was often used as a code word. These messages are between Orion and Cranberry. He angrily messaged the user for posting actual CP. If you post lolly again, you're gone. Manadrain, a close associate, would admit to thinking of real children when looking at lolly. The owner estimated at least 90% of the people in his server are pedos. And I mean, it wasn't really a secret. Proof exists of members straight up asking for CP and attempting to sell it on the server. Yo, Giggly, somewhat serious issue here. What, bitch? That I have issues person in your server, they're advertising selling nudes of themselves when they were younger. Pretty sure that's not something good to be associated with the server. OMFG, faggot ass. I can show you the DMs if you need proof, but in the DM channel, they're advertising wanting to talk about P stuff, which I now obviously know meant pedo shit. I assume they were just talking about lollies or whatever, but nah, IRL stuff. No, I don't care. Mind you, Orion was a self-admitted minor-attracted person. He frequently used emojis of the map flag and even bought a map pride-themed bikini. That makes it a massive issue given minors were knowingly let into his server. Publicly, Orion expressed otherwise, making sure to ban any kids reported to him, but he viewed those people as snitches and went out of his way to look past it. I only block minors so I don't get in trouble, but I wrote it in a way that makes me seem right. Even stating twice that if you just lie about your age, I won't block you, just in a way people won't be upset with. In a conversation from July 25th, Orion discusses underage sex with Sunflower Femboy. This excerpt is when he discovers Sunflower is underage. Because when I was younger, I tasted sugar. How young? 13, 2 years ago. Oh my, you're not mad? Just don't tell anyone in my server unless you're 100% sure they're a full-blown pedo, or else they might snitch and I'll have to ban you. Yes, Giggly, but more on that sugar. It was sweet. I crave it, even once went on redacted for it. For the record, Redacted is a Mastodon instance notorious for openly hosting illegal materials. Let's pull back and look at the full context of their conversation. It began with Sunflower admitting to Orion that he enjoyed lolly. Orion uses this to label him a pedo, encouraging him to fantasize about children. Eventually, Sunflower starts to talk about his 9-year-old sister. I shouldn't. My little sis is 9. And unless you're thinking about your little sis while you look at these pics, it's no big deal. It's completely normal. And like you said, even if it's not real, it's awfully sweet. Especially when there's so much good porn. Especially when you have depraved pedo perverts whispering encouragement in your ear. This is the crux of their methods. A recurring phrase you're going to see a lot in these messages is EPI. EPI is a shorthand for early porn introduction, in which minors are exposed to adult content. They fantasize about perverting their innocence, often by utilizing Rule 34 to flood sites with a younger demographic. It's a form of fetish mining explicitly used to groom children. The next conversation between Orion and Memnicine occurred on June 18th, 2023. It starts with the two admitting a shared interest in EPI. I imagine you know about EPI then? Of course, I've done it personally. What exactly? Have you made some captions yourself? Orion proceeds to post examples of captions he made. The first instructs readers on how to make new gooners by offering NSFW in public Discord servers. The second instructs people how to masturbate using a Nintendo character. The third praises DeviantArt's lax policies on what qualifies as safe for work. The fourth is a screenshot from a YouTube video of Fortnite characters twerking. They express being turned on by the fact that the comments are from children. Then there's expose kids to blacked tunes. It's so easy. Groom them to like your sick fishes, make their god, teach them to talk dirty, push them deeper into addiction, turn someone's child into an N-word lover, turn the new generation into gooners, ruin them, destroy their minds. None of this was a fantasy. Orion admits to talking to kids every day, astounded by his own influence. That was before professing his pride in being a pedophile. I shouldn't be telling someone I just met all this stuff, but I can't help it. I think it's because it's Pride Month and I'm a proud pedo. I feel like I had a revelation recently. My view of myself is really positive lately. I hope this isn't a phase and that I've actually learned how to love myself, despite the fact that I sexualize children almost every day and want their brains to be ruined like mine was. There's hard evidence within the leak of these interactions with minors. On March 23rd, Orion was messaged by an underage boy. Full disclosure though, since I feel bad not telling people this, I'm a Shota boy myself. You can block me and I'll 1000% understand, in which case I'm sorry if I caused any trouble. Elsewise, I'm happy to talk about anything and everything and answer any questions. I love the idea of cute drinking to porn. their favorite games. That's how I got a porn addiction. I'd look at Rule34 of everything I liked and download it like crazy. I remember when I was younger, I would constantly get off to Overwatch stuff. 4 days later, he met a 15-year-old trans girl who loved Taylor Swift. He used this adoration of pop stars to groom her. How do I become a gooner? What does that mean? Oh my god, I'm surprised you don't know. You're gonna ruin me. This is so hot, but like, you're trying to make me addicted. Shh. It's okay, just trust me. In DMs with Charlie Death, they acknowledged flirting with Charlotte when they were only 16. I actually feel bad because I'm 75% sure I'm the reason your old Twitter got banned. It was when I felt porn was a bad thing for me because I was 15 or 16 at the time, and you told me you liked me and that you were ashamed. I was so happy to be there. The aforementioned Goon goddess may have been underage, although it's arguable if it was just age play. Arf arf, put it in my hole. The alleged teenager went on to send nudes to Orion. They also discussed looking for CP on Twitter. Trying to find teen vids to get off to on Twitter is so hard. I remember when Map Twitter was a thing, and you could find it all over the place. SMH. Orion also sought to meet with children through video games. Roblox, as you all know, is a widely popular online platform whose fanbase largely consists of children. This has led it to attract many predators looking to befriend them. Several members of his server created profiles with highly sexualized models. Their accounts make heavy references to content. Lexicality created a profile called Lexi for the BNWO. His skin is a skimpy woman with a censor bar over her eyes. The description reads, last bio nearly got me banned. Chocolate and snow bunnies only. Fuda preferred, cute bulls allowed. Mr. Postcard posts an even more lurid character, Cow for Black Loads. Orion made several accounts for this purpose. The first was Blox Gooner with the description, just a dumb Roblox Gooner. Look up Gooner captions if you don't know what a Gooner is. That was shortly after discussing the possibility with Mana Drain. I love Roblox players. Show them the funnest stuff there is to do. You're basically handing out drugs on a playground. I was always in a medieval roleplay server when I was a kid. You should show up to it and show them real roleplaying. Roblox is full of roleplaying games. I was thinking about pretending to be a girl and becoming friends with girls just to tell them about gooning. There are screenshots of Orion in-game telling kids to look up NSFW terms and harassing young girls. Me when transphobic little girls ask me what I'm doing in the women's restroom when I'm obviously a woman. But perhaps the worst of Orion's potential victims are those within his own family. Orion frequently sexualized his nieces and nephews who were as young as 5 years old. On June 6, 2023, Orion sent a photo of his youngest niece to Pink. He then imagines having intercourse with her. I need her to get a phone and take irresponsible pics for attention. He bragged about getting to spend hours watching them at the pool. He wrote about one such visit to Pink 2 weeks later, which is so disgusting I don't even want to read it. But it is him fantasizing about his nieces. Pink was not the only person he sexualized them to. On July 14th, Orion told Mana Drain several explicit scenarios based on his real life. They're framed as if letters addressed to the 7-year-old that we'll call Jane. The first was inspired by his nieces walking into his bedroom alone, and once again is really too disgusting to read out loud. The second was about helping her swim at the pool, which, once again, I just can't bring myself to read out loud. Orion contemplated grooming them into being interracial addicts. He played porn without headphones in hopes they'd hear it. He even joked about feeding them his semen, but it's unclear if any actual physical abuse occurred. In late 2021, he admitted to lying about abusing his niece. This apparently killed the buzz for Mana Drain's edging, but that was 2 years ago, before he made plans to EPI his nephew. I'm giving my nephew a tablet for his birthday coming up so he can look at NSFW. His parents are weird and won't give him a phone. He's 13 now and he needs it. The more cooped up they are as kids, the more likely they are to be super degenerate later on. Yeah, to be honest, I'm not really too trusting of this guy's opinion on what's degenerate or not. With how disgusting these conversations were, it's clear the parties involved were at similar levels of sadism. It should be apparent by now that Orion was far from alone and often had co-conspirators who enabled and assisted in his grooming. The evidence seems to imply a degree of organization that requires scrutiny. So far, we've not even mentioned the existence of their secret Telegram. Telegram is a messaging app popular among those who try to stay anonymous. That can range from drug dealers to furries to even Kiwi Farms users. This is because of their privacy policies, where they offer end-to-end encrypted secret chats. Because of his original ban from Discord, Orion didn't allow Lolly or Shota on a server. This led him to create a Telegram group for that material. Now, this is already questionable given what we've previously outlined. Many of the users invited were the same ones using it as a surrogate for real children. You're a fucking pedophile, you freak. affectionate. However, there's also evidence it wasn't just cartoon depictions. In December of 2022, Orion received CP from a user named Patowu. He first sends him Lolly and Shota before asking if he wanted the real stuff. Okay. Can you delete these now? Do you have a Telegram? You can message me this stuff on there. They both work together to create EPI content. On May 1st, Orion and Stoner Piggy refer to kids as porn and talk about underage girls. Stoner Piggy encourages him to free his urges. I'm a fucking pedo. I'm a pedo too. I love child porn. Do you have a Telegram? No. You should make one. I'm twink_t. Instead of using Telegram, they decided to use an app called Elements that doesn't require phone numbers. Can you see my messages? I saw your hello. CP. That was so fun yesterday. Orion went on to record himself getting off while professing himself to be a pedophile.
I am a gross pedophile that can only get off to children.
This next section is going to broaden the scope, again, from just Orion to his associates. From this point on, we're going to be separating each of the conversations by user. This structure will allow us to emphasize the severity of other individuals who have so far gone under the radar, mostly because many of them aren't micro-e-celebrities like Orion. Drooling is one of the individuals Orion sexualized his family members with. This allowed him to become one of Orion's close friends. Oh, sweetheart, you're truly a friend to me. I've known you for over a year and talked to you nearly every day. I've missed you. I've seen you in dreams. I felt guilty for taking you too far and not taking you far enough. You're one of the few people who truly know me of my greatest sins, and that in all honesty, I don't even care. That honestly makes you very special to me. Besides your already wonderfully teasable and adorable personality, they were both members of EPI discords and often got off together. That included once as Drooling wore his own mother's underwear. The DMs have Drooling getting off to children. I'm sorry I'm like this, but her I've seen stars pose the exact same way. Underage people shouldn't dress like that. He fantasizes about forcing kids into adult roleplay using VR. Just hook them up to VR headsets for hours. Unknown Forces 21 came to Orion with a fixation on young boys. They talked about these fantasies at length, while at an airport, Unknown saw a kid in the public bathroom. He contemplates taking a photo before fondling the memory. I wish I did, not gonna lie. Wish I could get a picture. Pink deleted many of their messages, leaving mostly a one-sided conversation. However, Orion's messages say enough. Mommies that force themselves on their little girls. God, anything trans pedo related makes me triggering my pedo urges. This is so dangerous to be sending on Discord. Thank you, though. They discuss temptations at seeing little girls at the pool and refer to them as whores. Their conversations are also the source of this quote. I shouted trans rights while cooking to a kid the other day. I remember the first time I nutted and didn't get upset after it. It felt so good. Earlier, Orion referenced having a Telegram under the name Twink T. This is actually not an alternate alias, but an account belonging to someone else. Twink T, also known as Jack Marshall, is an autistic man from Britain. He doesn't seem very independent given his father has access to all of his accounts. The two first met in March of 2022, with Jack sharing original artwork. They connected over a shared interest in Cub, Lolly, and Shota. Within months, Jack broke up with his girlfriend, was on estrogen, and had an OnlyFans. Orion was the manager of said OnlyFans, coercing him every step of the way. This is apparent by how he talked about him to others. Has he started hormones yet? Yes, but not effectively. I guess that's what you'd expect, just telling a retard to buy hormones. They bought estrogen, but no anti-androgen. It would have been more fun if he started hormone blockers at like 12. Haha, isn't that true for everyone? Don't worry, I'll make him into a good girl. That coercion would include attempting to get him into CP. The two had a strange relationship, with Jack often filming nude videos for him. It was part of a fascistic roleplay, which Orion tried to steer towards pedophilia. He used specific language to connect the artwork to real children. Once you post that video from your Google Drive on your OnlyFans, you can post this on your Twitter. If you do, I'll reward you with that evolved to claiming it was natural to be attracted to tweens. By December, Jack was asking for no-limit profiles and calling Orion his pedo mommy. It was around that same time that Jack created an account on Telegram. He sent the login info as well as credentials for his email. This would end up causing some conflict over how it was being used. Jack started using it to look at CP, but drew the line at teenagers. They argued over the difference as he denied being a nonce. Eventually, Orion began instructing one of his providers to help erode the boundary. Hey, just so you know, every time you send stuff to twink_t on Telegram, I see it too. He said he was scared to message people like you, but I told him to anyway. I mean, I have way more fucked up stuff I can send him. Always feel free, but you can lead him into it. He's still a little bit of a scaredy cat about it. This is reflected in their DMs as he exposes Jack for stroking to kids. Aw, reading you struggle is so cute. What do you mean, mommy? On Telegram, saying you don't want to get off to kids and being forced to anyway. Please don't get me in trouble, mommy. Where do you find these people, mama? drama, he would end up scaring away one of Orion's suppliers, making him upset. Did they delete their chat? From now on, don't tell people I'm sharing the account. Yes, mommy, it's your account. Retard, pull it back up. I don't remember their name, to be honest. Neither do I, mommy. I'm sorry. I think they stopped messaging me and blocked me on everything. Orion also used Jack's Discord to help a minor bypass the minimum age requirement. Thank you for letting me use your Discord account. It's allowed someone who is very interested in my server to rub their brains out to all the lewd, cringy porn. Why didn't they just join the server? My server is marked NSFW, so they couldn't see anything. I'm confused. Sorry, I don't get it. Well, on Discord, you can't view NSFW servers if you're under 18. In the end, the sense of control proved enough to overlook his incompetence, because on January 8th, 2023, Orion asked Jack to be his girlfriend. They continued talking in the following months, with only one significant road bump. Jack was studying forensics and attempted to join law enforcement. This caused Orion to threaten cutting him off. Thankfully, he didn't get the job. One of the final logs in their history is Jack sending the N-word before apologizing and saying he was horny. Happens to the best of us, guys. Mr. Postcard is a furry artist whose online presence is hard to trace. He had a profile on Barag, a Mastodon instance that allows for Lolly and Shota. His artwork focused on Cub, including this perversion of a PSA against online grooming. Once again, he deleted many of his messages, leaving one-sided conversations. But what does remain is more than incriminating. I don't know, I'm not super into Lolly, but I like encouraging pedos. Porn on YouTube. Fuck. I'm a pedo in an EPI way, definitely. He attempted to move the conversation to Telegram, but Postcard refuses. Then they share bestiality videos and links to Redacted several times. In this exchange, he admits to posting illegal material on Redacted. On December 5th, 2022, Postcard made an edit using audio from Real CP. Orion recognized the source immediately. With a common understanding they were both sadistic pedos, there is a sickening level of transparency. For example, the two fantasized about assaulting J.K. Rowling's grandchildren. Not letting T-slurs get with your kids is transphobic. Someone should Harry Potter woman's grandkids. Orion then goes on to call them turf meats. If you missed the obvious foreshadowing, here they are praising an infographic on texting as a predator. It's genuinely really good grooming advice. On April 4th, 2023, Postcard reveals he's in contact with 4 minors, aged 9 to 13. I've so far sent it to 4 minors between the ages of 9 and 13. I hope it encourages them to transition. He gloated about actively grooming them weeks later through EPI. Can you send me furry HMVs? Any you send me will be forwarded directly to a minor. She found a lewd video in a Roblox playlist on YouTube and commented, "Why do I like this?" And I offered to send her more. I'm gonna pipeline her into being a zoophile. Got any more? She's loving them. One of the curious discoveries in these messages was Postcard's connection to other furry artists. In January, he claimed to have gotten a mutual into AI-generated CP. Their only holdout for the real stuff was apparently legality. This was elaborated on in June, with Postcard naming the artist in question. I don't know if this is something I should be saying, but I got a really popular artist addicted to CP recently. That's so hot. What artist? I won't tell. ACSTLU, or Aslu. No way, dude. You're capping hard. To prove this, he showed artwork that Aslu drew of his character. Aslu is an adult furry artist with over 69,000 followers. He also has a YouTube channel with the latest upload surpassing 1.2 million views. Postcard describes the process of putting him on the artist to groomer pipeline. Before he met me, he'd never even thought about kids sexually. I've been slowly grooming him for months now, making all the big artists into full-blown pedos, as it should be, just helping them along the artist to groomer pipeline. Now, to be clear, there's no evidence that what he's saying here is true. He provides no screenshots of this conversation. That's important because Ashley would end up confronting him after the leak. It was then posted to 4chan on his behalf. I'm just unbelievably sorry about all this. I never should have gotten you involved. You really shouldn't have. But genuinely, please calm down. Even if this is the last time we ever talk to each other, I just want to make sure you stay safe here. If I knew you were into this stuff, I never would have talked to you. Why would you fucking say anything about me though? I really regret it. It didn't happen for months. My self-control issues here bit me in the ass again. Why the fuck would you even mention me in your CP shit out of nowhere? I'm not a fucking pedo. Yeah, I know you aren't. I was embellishing a story to try and make that friend come, because that's probably the only reason they like me. If Ashley was implicated as a part of a fantasy he wasn't aware of, it'd be unfair to assume guilt. He wasn't in the server or Ryan's DMs. Because of this, I'd wager he's telling the truth. However, it is worth pointing out he wasn't the only artist identified by name. Postcard also involved Doc Friendo, who has over 14,000 followers. Look at their ads. They confessed to me that it turns them on knowing that kids follow them. He actually sent me a video of him to some CP I sent him. Given we obviously can't view the video, its legitimacy is unclear. Postcard would end up making a public statement which has since been deleted. He admits the messages are real, but tries to handwave all references to CP as fantasy. I want to make it clear that despite the fetishization of it, no CSEM was traded between myself or anyone mentioned here, and I haven't ever been sexually in contact with any minors in real life or on the internet. I often referred to lolly/cub artwork as CP in my DMs with Gooners and other NSFW community members who I trusted, and claims I made about contact with minors were purely a work of fantasy. No one bought this laughably bad excuse, so he deleted all of his accounts, likely to return under a different name. Pump Pig Parker, also known as Pump Hog, is an old friend of Orion. Their first messages indicate they'd known each other even before 2020. He'd tell Orion to check Telegram often. Though it's unknown what was shared, the DMs inspire very little confidence. Pump Hog had a specific adoration of Lilo from Lilo and Stitch. He referred to her as bait and a slut. He also touched himself to Baby Mario characters. That was alongside an obsession with, of course, racial fetishization. His idea of roleplay was ape noises and referring to black people as monkeys. It affected him at work, with the mere sight causing him to ejaculate. I bunga baited at work today. Orion played along with both, as they fantasized about abuse. They read stories about people being taken advantage of by black men. Orion referred to white children as gorilla flashlights, and even worse terms, you can believe that. Pump Hog seemed to be one of the few he trusted enough to discuss his attraction to infants. This would include, yes, watching videos. Here's an exchange in which Orion gets aroused by a gif of the Boss Baby from the animated movie The Boss Baby. He claims to then spend the entire day getting off to toddlers. He then asks Pump Hog where to buy a flashlight that mirrors the appearance of a small child. It wasn't a shot in the dark. Pump Hog deliberately purchased small sex toys. Perverted AF appears to be one of the most dangerous individuals from the chat logs. He first reached out to Orion in May of 22, asking to join his server, but he soon revealed himself by talking about little girls and minority babies. This white supremacist had elaborate violent fantasies, deriving pleasure from murder. He also admits to grooming underage boys. He posts a video of one victim calling himself a slur. I make F slurs hate themselves for being gay, and he admits to initially catfishing them by pretending to be a child. Orion was on the same page, suggesting they do so to manipulate girls into sex work. Make them addicted to social media. Be a total creep. Make an Instagram pretending to be a modeling service. Post pics of girls her age and say their model is working for you. Buy bot followers, then message girls saying you want to make them into professional models. Get them to send you pics in whatever poses, whatever outfits, doing anything you want. That took them both to Telegram. Hey cutie, can you not say so explicitly that you want pics of CP sent to you on Telegram? On August 30th, 2022, Perverted AF invited Orion to an encrypted chat. He called it a Telegram kid chat, as it served to connect pedos to each other. I'll send it on Telegram, except the secret chat. Been finding the worst fucking pedos. Me included, obviously, although I might be the worst, hehe. Too much or no? Not much else is known about the group, other than this exchange that gives insight into what it was like. Asbestos is a 20-year-old college student. They met in 2020 and have over 7,000 messages together. Asbestos even credits Orion with warping his mind. Their friendship was partly motivated by his inability to move on from an ex-girlfriend. Before long, he was creating EPI and getting aroused by nature documentaries. I was watching some nature documentary with my parents, and there was a bit about rhinos. I felt something come over me, so I excused myself, went upstairs, and busted a nut to the rhino tag on E621. Orion held some amount of power over Asbestos. He was able to convince him to piss himself on camera. The gooning became an addiction as he started getting off at work, in class, and at porta potties. I've hit a new low. It's depraved. I'm on a car trip and we stopped at a rest stop, but the men's room was closed and they had porta potties. It was like a PA truck stop, so obviously they were disgusting, but the smell, the stink, the raw stench, I came in like 10 seconds. The latter was apparently so pungent it stuck with him afterward. His fetishes started to impact his relationships. He became obsessed with the idea of being even skipping class to watch BBC videos. It got to the point of dysfunction as his lust became directed towards his family. He developed a taste for granny goddesses, which led him to salivate over his own grandmother. In the fall of 2022, Asbestos was assigned a roommate we'll call Rachel. He became obsessed with her, taking several compromising photos without permission. He then sent those creep shots to Orion. This only escalated as he began stealing her clothes to smell. I sniffed my roommate's used shorts last night. Those green ones, she wore them 2 days in a row. I swear I could smell fart. It happened again 2 months later. Look how fucking nasty they are. They smelled fucking bad. The breach of consent was a common theme in their conversations. He'd meet girls and turn them into unwilling participants of his roleplay with Orion. In November of 2020, Asbestos was rejected by a goth girl at school. This led him to secretly buy her OnlyFans and cover it in farts and horse cock. attacks. In April of 2021, he claimed to hook up with an older woman. He sent her nudes so Orion could make blacked edits. That summer, Asbestos began sending nudes of his exes for captions. He gave 3 different women. If that wasn't enough, this interest soon reached a new level of criminality. Asbestos reminisced on partners he had while underage, sending pictures he had saved of a 14-year-old. He then sent nudes of another girl he kept for years. Orion then made this into an edit as pump bait. The obsession would motivate him to victimize more minors. On November 23, 2022, Asbestos admitted to soliciting nudes from a minor. 2 days later, he sent screenshots of himself grooming a 16-year-old named Comey. The last known interactions between Orion and Asbestos center around Character.ai. The site allows users to create their own chatbots and talk to them. Many have used the service to immerse themselves in erotic roleplay. Asbestos first used the site to make a bot of his roommate. Then he made one of Marjorie Taylor Greene. By July, the two were attempting to make a pedo bot. Thankfully, it was unsuccessful, though that didn't stop their other AI efforts. They began sharing AI-generated CP and using 11 labs to generate the voice of teenage girls. The final user left to cover in his inner circle is Manadrain. His messages have been littered throughout previous sections, from the fantasizing of nieces to grooming in Roblox. Not much is known of his identity as of now, other than that he's older than Orion. This account appears to be an alt, meaning it goes straight into degeneracy. When my mom had cancer, took way more precedence, far and beyond. Manadrain beat off constantly, with a fetish for eating his own skin. In one instance, he froze it as an ice cube and put it in his mouth. And they used to know 2 users named Keeper and Neo. Orion alleges one of them to be a zoo sadist. I'm just not super into real taboo stuff anymore. He would just tell me to buy pets and kill them on camera for him. Like, I'm not gonna do that. This must have been imprinted on Manadrain as he admitted to kissing his dog. He was easy to influence. A person named Vriska demanded that Manadrain only get off to them or his own mother's underwear. He wrote about doing this several times, lying about using her shower to get access. That Vriska was apparently also responsible for him becoming a nonce. Me and the Vriska, who isn't Keeper, kind of broke up. I said I'd get better. I kind of wanted to mean it, but I don't think I can leave. We're okay and all. It wasn't angry or annoying, and it was an acknowledgement of how unhealthy it all was. Leave what? All the people who want me to get off to super effed up things. Ha ha ha. You told them about that? They encouraged it, showed me nude pics. They get off to them. TikTok girls. Yeah, well that stuff would be too much for me now too. It's a strange conversation given what they previously discussed. Though they feigned remorse, it wasn't long before both of them relapsed. On August 16th, 2021, Manadrain relapsed and went on tour to look for CP. He struggled to find any, a plight that made Orion upset. Can I be honest? If I knew how to get it, I would go back to the CP site. I seriously would. I need it more than anything in the world. I'm so f***ed up, but I'm afraid to go searching because I might go to fucking prison and have to kill myself. I'm really serious. This is a horribly shameful confession. I throbbed typing every word. They desperately clung on to any illegal material they could find, including of Orion himself. On September 13th, he sent pictures he had taken while being groomed. The man blackmailed him into making out with pictures of his toilet. A month later, Orion sent Manadrain an account filled with CP, but somehow the desperation took them to even darker avenues. On September 23rd, Manadrain received an Amber Alert on his phone, and that apparently was fuel for him. Just got an Amber Alert. Do not want to talk about how I feel. I wish Amber Alerts had pics of the kid with sensor bars over their eyes. In response, Orion sends Manadrain pictures of children who died in terrorist attacks. The file name implies it's an edit of victims from the Manchester Arena bombing. By spring of 2022, their conversations devolved to spamming I love CP over and over as Orion browsed missing children's sites. They had fully relapsed by this point, accepting the risk of being caught. The two then began using Telegram and supplying each other with CP. Orion started browsing the previous redacted Mastodon instance, which he admitted was full of the material. He even filmed himself getting off to it, sending it over a secret chat. Now, it shouldn't be surprising that both of them were into EPI. They spelled their intentions out pretty explicitly and posted on various sites made for children. When the Onkazone animation became a meme, they got excited over its virality among kids. Manadrain and Orion also fantasized about getting kids on hormones, because of course they did. That's only the tip of the iceberg in regard to grooming. In August of 2021, Mana admitted to soliciting news from an underage British boy named Paige. This only stopped after Paige began planning a child abduction. Yeah, I don't really know how it keeps getting worse, but it does. was. The men also talked about minors that were knowingly allowed in the server. They laugh about flooding their DMs with porn. One of them was invited specifically for Manadrain to prey on. The last messages indicate their relationship was becoming even more bizarre. Orion began cutting for him, slicing BBC Loser and a pentagram into his leg. That, thankfully, concludes our exploration into the Goon Clown files. For as comprehensive as this video is, there's still a lot that's gone unexplored. This has largely neglected his servers, focusing primarily on his DMs. However, it's more than enough evidence to confirm that Orion Passmore, as well as his associates, should be in prison. That was apparent even within the first 24 hours when only a fraction of this had surfaced. After the docs, Orion joined his own server on an alt account to imply he would soon take his own life. Alright guys, I've been fully doxxed and lots of incriminating things are to be sent to my family. It was fun being alive, I guess. Then, a supposed Goon Clown AMA was held on Soyjack. It wasn't real, as the video was made to capitulate to the hacker.
Hey yo, shout out Soyjack Party.
Several people reported them to the authorities, with the two individuals streaming their call to Kick.
Me and my friends have stumbled upon his chat logs in a chat log leak, which contains numerous direct links to child abuse material and attempts to solicit nudes from minors. And he may be in contact with these minors too, like direct contact.
What's the person's name and their age?
His name is Orion Grant Passmore. He's a 24-year-old white male who lives with his grandmother.
I'm going to put this in, and like I said, a deputy will call you. A deputy will have the better questions and know what information they need, okay?
Okay, will do.
The news spread to Kiwi Farms, but otherwise remained relatively niche. It was spread across several gossip sites and was difficult to understand. With Orion's whereabouts unknown, it seemed like the story would fade into obscurity. However, those that continued digging would end up with a lead that catapulted the leak into the broader internet. On August 4th, a reply was left to the original thread with a tip. It claimed that a person named John Hollywood was a part of Giggly's clique. There was no evidence beyond hearsay, but they felt it was still necessary to disclose. This rumor shockingly had substance, with the individual being found within the logs. Not only that, but many of these messages felt damning, enough so that the people began to investigate who he was. Jean wasn't some nobody, but a famous adult video star with over 300,000 followers. He has connections to both the adult industry and Hollywood, supposedly helping Chloe Cherry get her role on Euphoria. He's also friends with many influencers, including Finster, and has taken pictures with Chris from Mr. Beast. That association with creators who had younger audiences had worrying implications. It seemed dangerous in conjunction with the resurfaced chat logs. They began sending the information to a variety of different accounts. It would end up on the Twitter account Valid Els, who posted a thread on August 6th. Their response was explosive, with the tweet receiving over 16,000 likes. The controversy received the name Goongate, as creators and viewers alike were exposed to the horrors of Giggly's cringe circus for the first time. In fact, for those of you who know about the situation, I'm willing to bet Valid Els is the first time you heard of it. So, let's finally look through the case against John Hollywood and the evidence implicating him in the Goon Clown leaks. To be upfront, John Hollywood has gone by a lot of different names online. He used to perform under the name Ella before detransitioning. That came with a rebrand of his social media to SodaCat and SodaCat TTV for streams. However, what many fans didn't know is that there was a third secret account. On November 4th, 2021, Jean made a tweet referencing Gooners. He later admitted it was to follow people on a secret Gooning alt account. That account was apparently called Toon Soda, which he explicitly described as having no limits. From this snapshot, dated that same week, we can see he followed nearly 300 people, including Orion. They would have a private conversation 2 days later. These screenshots were originally sent to Manadrain. The first image shows Orion sending an EPI video, to which Jean responds that he loves Bad Bell. This leads Orion to send another, which contains uncensored lolly. Jean then sends an EPI he made for Bad Bell. The preview shows the text CP, though it was apparently a reference to artwork. The third screenshot contains the following exchange. I was ripped of my innocence by degenerate creators like you. I did it to you, and I bet that you're doing it to other Gooners who are 18. You really think that there aren't 11-year-olds looking at your stuff? Lol, you should edge to that. I know there are. They're gonna be so fucked. Now you're probably wondering, who is Bad Bell? Bad Bell's notoriety can be traced back to 2021, with a thread describing them as the main pedophile captioner. Her content was focused entirely on the subject, as even a glance of her profile reveals. It wasn't some secret. If you're aware of her by name, you know what she's into. Manadrain and Orion affirmed this themselves, praising Belle on several occasions. They explicitly talked about showing Bad Belle's EPI videos to kids. Jean joined Giggly's cringe circus on November 10th, 2021. He wouldn't leave until March of 2022. In that same time frame, he sent over 700 messages to the server. There are several messages indicating an interest in EPI. He first references it on November 23rd. EPI ruined us all, lol. Not even a week later, he praised My Little Pony for its ability to be used for that purpose. Because what autist didn't get off to pony? Clop your brain away. My Little Pony was made for autists. I'm convinced. It's the perfect blend of colors and cute designs. It's an absolute EPI engine too. I have no freaking clue what EPI is. Hush. Ask someone else in DMs. He also cheekingly joked about Bad Belle with Manadrain. Jean later referred to himself as a cute little Shota boy and described a jailbait outfit that, if leaked, would be career suicide. I bought a cute outfit for the party anyway. Short shorts, baseball tee, and a little Lego backpack. His association with these shady communities didn't go unnoticed. Ella Hollywood was called out publicly as early as January of 2022 for interacting with underage teen grooming content. He vented about it on the server. Block this retard. If you're incapable of nuance too, let me know so I can block you. The tweet in question was archived, allowing us to see the images. Jean can be seen on his alts praising a pedophilic EPI. It has art of an anime child underneath blurbs about young boys. Robbed you of your youth and innocence. When you were most vulnerable, you never stood a chance. The last message from Jean on the server was sent on March 2nd, 2022. He gave no farewell before leaving, though there is an explanation. As you can imagine, the Tuned Soda account was deactivated after his connection to the Goon Clown files went viral. However, by pure chance, it was preserved by an Anon with access to the profile. The Anon recorded an 8-minute video scrolling through every tweet before uploading it to Soyjack Party. This revealed more evidence of them posting Shota and discussing EPI. He also gave further thoughts on the original callout. I went to go retweet this here and saw a screenshot of my tweets, so which one of you fuckers is sharing when you shouldn't be? You're gonna ruin it for the whole class. But more to the point is this tweet from 2 days after his last message. On March 4th, a Twitter user made fun of him using a screenshot from Orion's server. Talking in public channels like this convinces me you are maladjusted to society and require being manually reformatted like a hard drive. Jean did not take this well, calling the person a stalker. Cool that people join the Gooner discords I'm in to take screenshots of what I say and send it to someone who stalks me. The timing of this post and expressed concern seemed to indicate this was the impetus behind leaving. That's all the evidence against Jean in relation to the Goon Clown files. There are no Discord DMs between Orion and Jean. It's unclear if they remained in contact afterward or drifted apart. It is worth pointing out that what I've described here differs heavily from the Valadels thread. Valadels claimed that Jean groomed Orion, which, as far as I can see, is baseless. There was also debate at the time over if the Discord account actually belonged to him. Because of this, I actually reached out to Jean to ask for his comment on the allegations. Surprisingly, he agreed, explaining his perspective in private. I talked to Giggly all of once. I was briefly in their server, but left quickly after I discovered it was a vile place. What I thought was a server for sharing weird fun was actually a huge den of psychosexual abuse and evil. I did not groom Giggly, and I did not know them personally at all. I don't condone their actions, I abhor them. I then asked if he recalled how long he was on the server. It seems Jean didn't remember the extent of his activity, claiming to have only stayed for 1 week. No clue. A week maybe? If it was longer, it's because I just lurked. I don't know anyone else who dipped. I wasn't super active or engaging with anyone on a personal level. Now, to give some benefit of the doubt, there is evidence that Jean wasn't on the same page as them. He informed me that No Limits was used for code as pedo. It'd be easy to gotcha this, given it's in his own bio, but I'd like to bring up this tweet from March of 2022. I say no limits, as in, I will not trash you for your kinks no matter how depraved. I can understand that some stuff just isn't for me. More power to you to enjoy it. Many of Jean's posts from his private show he is adamant regarding consent. That doesn't change what he was into, but it is an important distinction for potential grooming. It seems to me that Jean sincerely didn't understand that the people around him blurred fantasy and reality. He is into weird, disgusting, horrible shit that frankly makes me think he should probably be in a padded cell somewhere, but there's no evidence of criminality from him specifically. Following the Jean Hollywood scandal, the discussion slowly petered out. It was unfortunately not enough to incite a deeper investigation into the leaks. For weeks, the Goon Clown's whereabouts remained unknown. I mean, most people assumed he was dead. However, it was around this time Orion was given access to his account again by Discord. He broke his silence on August 10th to proclaim his innocence. To those of you that haven't left, if you aren't aware of what's been going on, a group of right-wing teenage boys boys hacked my account and doxed me for being gay and weird. They took screenshots of age play convos I had and are posting them out of context to make me look like a pedophile. I'd never hurt a real-life child, nor support anyone who would. Those conversations were strictly about Lolly or Shota and were complete fantasies. I also block all minors that talk to me and personally wish they would f*** off. I don't even need to say anything at this point. You've already sat through the video. This person is lying. The message ends with Orion discussing his future, or lack thereof, online. Whether you believe me or not, it doesn't matter because I'm just gonna give admin to someone else and let them run this place. I'll also be quitting the giggly persona sadly out of necessity. If you want, you can DM me, and if I think you're cool, I might just keep talking to you. Also, don't get scared by these dudes. Keep being you! He deleted his account a few days later, resigning to only his closest confidants. It's uncertain if Orion or his associates will face any serious repercussions for their actions. The most unsettling part is that if action isn't taken, they'll be able to return to obscurity. It was only under those circumstances they were able to get away with it for so long. But unfortunately, other than exposing this information to the public, there isn't much that can be done. Ever since the Goon Clown leak, Soyjack Party has fallen victim to a deplatforming campaign. First, the site lost its domain registrar, followed by its host. This was amid a series of DDoS attacks. Then an identical copy of the site was made, distributing CP. There was a coordinated effort to take it down, which ultimately proved successful. On August 14th, Soyjack Party was hacked, and all of its user IPs were leaked. The agitators banned every poster from the site before it was taken down. They then vandalized the wiki, which had pages on the Goon Clown. Even the bunker forums, which had images disabled, were flooded with ASCII art of CP. It became too much for the board's owner, who announced his resignation. He put it up for sale before apparently shutting it down for good. I don't think the timing is a coincidence. That is how badly they don't want you to know about this information. Hopefully, justice comes for Orion, but there's no guarantee for now. I've been Turkey Tom. Thanks for watching, and until next time, leave me alone.